And boom, welcome back to the Fat Earth Comedy Cast. This is episode 27. My name's Mo Fungus, and we put Jimmy out on the streets. You there, Big Jim?
I am here live. I'm coming here from
Wow.
Western Michigan, and I guess social distancing has a new definition behind me here, folks, but they don't look to be 6 feet apart.
Wow, it's getting rowdy over there. I actually think I lived in that complex in the back.
I love that over my left shoulder, you got a Red Bull tent. This thing's sponsored. When you type in Western Michigan University parties, this is one of the main photos that comes up. And I don't know, this looks like a generic party. It could be somewhere, it could be West Coast, but it definitely has that feeling of something in Kalamazoo. But I just love that it's Red Bull sponsored, just get them out there. This guy's got so much loot. I'll sponsor
Yeah,
that.
we're doing
Sounds good.
we're getting crazy today. We're doing college party stories. And Jimmy, you brought up a good point. Some of my stories actually from Michigan State, but I've been to some good parties in Ann Arbor. But you got Western and you got Eastern. And this is the melding pot of all the mediocre minds. That's where I went to high school, or that's where I went to college, ladies and gentlemen. When you have that average GPA, these are the places that you go to. So when I went to Western, I literally went with probably 50% of my class. It's just the average of everything. And when you have averages, that breeds partying.
Yeah, it's the threshold of I fooled my parents in the school system for 4 years, but I barely got out. It's your 2 to 3 GPAs, and it, and it may have been your first choice, but it probably was your fourth as far as schools go. If you had to sit someone down and say, where do you really want to go? And anybody that pops out first with a dream segment, Western Michigan, well, you're probably a midlife feeder. You're probably a middle of the road feeder.
Yeah, I like to call it a mixing pot of the mediocre minds.
Don't worry, I wouldn't have gotten in. So I don't know where that puts me in life's pecking order, but I'm sure I'm near the bottom, especially coming out of high school. They wouldn't have taken me.
Well, I went there for a half a semester. Well, I went there for a full semester, and then I tried to realize my dreams. I moved back home and started up a band. That was a big mistake. One of the many regrets of my life, but everybody takes their own path, and when you look back, it probably wasn't a regret. It may have been the path that I was supposed to take, but my stories actually come from not going to school there. So your stories must come from not going to school there. You were just a visitor, right?
Yeah, I was totally a visitor. I was a landscaper, boat washer, and I had my weekends free, the way I designated my own career at that point in my life. And it's definitely just a visitor. But that's surprising to me to hear you say that you regret the LLE and the band stuff, because I really think it molded you, and I think you're on the cusp of songwriting and video production and putting them all together. So I think, like Dockside, like I could tell you all day I regretted it, the company I owned, but that was a decade that helped mature me and build me for a different aspect in life, and gave me a knowledge
Yeah.
I couldn't have paid for. And I feel like your bands were that for you. So it helped you with
Yeah, I
money
agree.
management. It helped you with music. It helped you with creativity. So it all plays a role. I hate to hear you say that, because it's definitely got a positive, nurturing environment that helped you get to where you are now today, which I would consider successful.
Well, yeah. At this point, you look back, but when I left there, the years coming after, where our band had minimal success, which is very hard to be in a band. It's like being an actor or any kind of celebrity in that regard. But yeah, I look back, I regret it in the sense that I should have got an education, because I didn't fail out of there. I literally just left. I did good, and I really enjoyed the classes. I took a poetry class, which was awesome. Um, my environmental science class was pretty much the exact class I took at Grosse Pointe North, so that one was a breeze. I had this class called Drugs and Society, which was a really cool class. But yeah, everybody has their own regrets. A part of being an adult and moving forward in life is you try and take those regrets, and there's no regret. You just lived your life, and the path that you took had led you to here, and you do the best with the mistakes you made and learning from that. But let's throw that right out the window, folks, because we're getting into parties. Jimmy,
Yeah.
why don't we get right into your Western party?
Talk about regrets, dude. We would go up all the time, and just wild ass scenes. I mean, especially as someone that didn't have to clock into school on Monday. My thing was go up Friday or Saturday morning and leave Sunday morning. And God bless a couple of your cousin there that had a house. It was mainly the person I was visiting, and he had a slew of friends up there, including a bunch of people from our high school I knew that he lived with.
Was
But
that the Jack Pine House at
that's the
Western?
yeah, I forgot about the name of Jack
Yeah,
Pine, dude. It
yeah.
was
I
real
had some experiences there.
real scenario this night. So I pull in I pull in this weekend. I'm using my dad's buddy went out of town for a year or so, like literally went to Africa for a super long time. Older guy, retired already and had some money. And he left my dad a couple cars to use. And he said, well, James is in between cars right now. Why don't you let him use? So I got a Lincoln Continental,
Classic.
brand spanking new. I come up, uh, get out of the car. Some dude, it's a pile. There's a couple of us in the car. We almost got in a car accident actually on the way there. This ladder fell off a fucking truck's rolling, just flying down the freeway. Get around
Yeah,
that thing.
94 is known for that. I actually dodged a couple ladders on 94 myself.
God bless those contractors, upper crust, the Western Michigan grads of contracting. These guys dropping ladders off the back, and we're in the middle of a pipe. Don't you have a little respect? Well, we don't get in a car accident. I get up there, we're parking. This guy comes out. He goes, nice car, man. Some student. I go, thanks, dude. I don't think I was that polite about it. I think I said, I know.
Yeah.
Real jackass. Anyways, that car was keyed this night. All right, all the way
Oh,
down the
jeez.
side of it, dude. I got to pull this thing back in limp mode. This guy comes back in town and go, hey, I'm going to pay $1,500 to get that champagne color painted on the driver's side of this thing. Got keyed from head to toe, baby. But that was the next morning there, the night of. We're going down to a party down the street, Jack Pine, baby. We got your cousin Rob knows a party going on that night, and there's like 12, like at his house, like 6 guys lived there or something, but like at this other house, there was like 12 to 20 dudes. It felt like a frat house, but it wasn't. It was one of those
Yeah.
newer homes built right then around 2000. There's a new set of attached condos, and right down the street, we walked
They were
there.
nice. Yeah, they were nice.
We took mind altering things. Okay, we weren't just smoking; we were also getting real deep. So my buddy, same buddy from the concert story of Fish, where I end up in the parking lot. I'm still hanging out with him. I'm still making questionable choices.
Yeah.
Well,
Friends for
here we
life,
go.
bro.
Yeah, I texted him today. I go, bro, any details you got to remind me on? So I kind of filled in with Chris today and got his take on it. Make sure I didn't say anything I didn't remember correctly or anything. But we go to this party. Things are getting wild. We're just people watching. We're not drinking as super hard. But again, sometimes when you're on fungus, it feels like you can almost drink more. Like it's this like counteractive thing going on. So, I'm sure I'm foggy on the amount of actual beers I had, but I know that I'm watching people get severely out of control on the front lawn and outside the party, and it's getting way out of control, way more than we're invited, all that kind of normal mess. The cops end up getting called, and we're working what I like to call, and I've done this with Iggy, I've done it with Rob, I've done it with Chris. We call it the James Bond getaway, where we're hiding in bushes and shit to get the hell out of there and not get seen, and using the mask to our advantage when the cops show up, and just trying to blend in and use the scenery basically. It being a newer subdivision or condos, it's not like there's big old 100-year-old trees you can hide behind or bushes that are too thick and overgrown. Really, this is kind of like a new sub, so we're hiding behind buildings and houses. We're running back to Rob's. It's not even that far, right? But as we're running from the cops, I look to my right and I see Chris literally just disappear from vision. He's a foot from me, okay? Well, earlier in the night, I had realized that one of these condos they're currently building, they're not done with. God bless 2001. They don't have any caution tape up, nothing. They just have a 6 foot undone foundation, probably for stair entrance to the basement. It's
Yeah.
just a dug 6-foot hole with dirt and stuff. We're like next to this house where a couple walls are up and everything. This dude is running right next to me, zoom, just face first down this hole and
Holy
just plat, bro. So we're running for the cops. I got to stop. I'm like, oh my goodness, dude. Bobby Budnick, you all right, dude? What the hell? What are you doing down there, dude? And he's dusting himself while I'm coming up. He's like, what the fuck is this thing? I go, bro, that's the undone foundation you just stumbled into, dude. Get up. So I'm climbing my fat ass down this thing to help him up. Get him up. He's got a scuffed knee. He's got a little busted face.
He didn't hurt him. He didn't break an arm or anything. How deep was this hole?
6 foot. It was literally 6 foot. It
Holy
had to
shit.
be some kind of like, it had to be something for the basement. I mean, it was like perfect little square there. And we get out, we climb out, run back to the house. Everyone collects. So the people that made it, which was the whole house, everyone got back, but in different time frames or different ways. And what happened to your face, Budnick? And dude, I'm laughing so hard. I go, this dude fucking fell face or something. And Kevin knows from our dab video, I just relish in my friends being hurt, I guess.
Yes,
I don't know. I find so much humor in this shit. So normally it's my
Johnny Knoxville.
I fucking love it. So we're back at the party. One of Rob's roommates, dude, we're trying to get this thing going. This guy goes on, I'll get it going, and turns on NSYNC. And I remember this almost boils into a full-blown mega fight. I turn the station. I come into the living room. I go, NSYNC, dude, what's going on here? And I took the iPod and I did the dial and I put on Fish. And someone from upstairs, unnamed, comes down roaring, mega furious that NSYNC has been pulled.
Was that
which
Tony?
I had no.
No
I
one
had the
knows
whole
who
house,
they are. We're Tony.
I had my whole house on my side, right? And everyone's like, yeah, dude, just get that crap off. But no one wanted to do it to uproar this person. Well, you know, my dumbass. So,
yeah.
So we were playing. Rob brought his foosball up there and that. We're doing that for the rest of the night and everything. But wild ass night with that fall. I don't know if I do it justice, but between the mind altering fungus and the whole aspect, I think you can put yourself in the shoes when cops are involved, fungus is involved, and a ton of people watching is involved. It's normally better than what a 20-minute tale do its justice. But that's a little tidbit from a Saturday night. I rolled up to Western Michigan, a school I didn't go to, and probably good for my health I didn't.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really have the experience of the fungus. I've probably only ate it like 5 times in my whole life. I try and keep it as more of a therapeutic, going into it with some kind of mindset rather than, I don't know if I could handle going to like a real party. Every time I've done it, it's either been a couple of dudes or, you know, just myself. So that whole party sequence. But yeah, I've had some crazy parties up at Western. One party in particular that stands out is my buddy lived in an apartment building, and there was like a main courtyard where everybody kind of conjugated, and there, you know, people were playing beer pong and this and that. These 2 fucking dudes, they look like they could have been cage fighters or whatever the shit is, the UFC. These guys were massive, and they were angry, and they were fucking beating the hell. Like this fight broke out, which isn't a normal thing, or which is quite a normal thing at a Western party. That shit happens all the time. But because these guys were so big and so fucking powerful, it's turned into something greater than just a normal little brawl. And everybody was watching these guys fight, and it was getting heated, and one dude started losing, and then all of a sudden from the corner I saw his buddy come out with like a metal fucking like stool and just starts beating on this guy. And me and my friend look at each other and go, I think it's time to go. And we just start running, man.
The Undertaker's got a chair.
I thought he was gonna take. I thought the little table thing was like a wicker type deal, and I thought when he was gonna smash it, it was gonna shatter like a movie. This thing did not shatter. It shattered his back, and this dude went down hardcore. I don't know what happened to him, but the shit that happens at West, dude, when you're alcohol fueled, my lord, some stupid shit happens. I'm so glad that I don't partake in that kind of antic anymore. But kids are out of control. Like you were saying, you were sipping beers, and it's one thing to sip beers. These kids at these parties aren't sipping beers. They're pounding the booze. They're fucking goggling brew, shotgunning, and then it's the liquor. It's all the liquor, the shots. That's the money maker, and that's what puts people over the edge.
it's not bragging. It's almost borderline stupidity. But we had prepped our livers stupidly, probably harder than majority of the schools that went to college. So like a lot of my friends tell me that when they got to school, they were already very aware of what 6 beers would do to them, 8 beers would do to them, 10 beers
Yeah,
would do to them. And meanwhile, these other fools didn't have as liberal parents or different areas. I mean, it is what it is. Sometimes we didn't, especially then, understand that it was a little different coming from Grosse Point for whatever reason, and it did, it just prepped for everyone that was in my group. At least we always seemed an echelon ahead in the bad stuff. We always, oh, a cigarette, what's that? Oh, whoa, you could roll a joint. Whoa, look, how many beers have you drank already? Like I remember seeing people on 3 beers and being like, what's wrong with this dude? A total
right.
stranger, and they're like, oh, dude, he can't handle his liquor. Like it's just rampant compared to where our crew was like, sorry to
Ready
say,
to go.
veterans. Yeah.
Yeah, when I moved into my dorm, there was you have like you meet up with everybody, you move in, you got your hallway, you're meeting people left and right, and there was this one girl who was really sheltered, and I just remember talking to her, and she was really like laid back and just like sheltered, like never her parents never let her do anything as a kid. I don't want to say like she was a dork or anything. She was just not ready for the college life. And the first night I met her, I go, wow, that girl really isn't really going to get into much. 4 days later, I go into a kid's room, this girl's topless, and dudes are doing shots off of her naked fucking chest, man. It was out of control. I was like, that's what happens when you don't do anything in high school, and then all of a sudden, like when your parents are too sheltering, they're going to go to college because that's what you want them to do. You want them to go to college, and now they're on their own. So I think a big part of parenting is actually prepping your children. I'm not saying get drunk with your kids, but it's like at least enlighten them to what's going to be out there and make sure that they've maybe had a couple of sips of booze. Again, I'm not telling parents to let their kids drink, but see what they're like, see what your kids can handle, and kind of talk to them. When you parent to the level of you can't smoke pot, you can't drink. That's just unrealistic. My mom always has a meltdown when I tell her I smoke pot. It's like, look, everyone I know smokes pot. Some of them led to fucking other drugs. I kind of like the bud, and it's like I have a good head on my shoulders. I know that these other drugs are going to bring you down. Yeah, pot has its drawbacks, but as far as drugs are concerned, I think pot is probably one of the better ones to partake in.
Yeah, I mean, I've talked to my dad a little bit in depth of as we've gotten older, and you were talking about regrets earlier, and he was telling me how his dad was so stern, and he says sometimes he feels like he failed because he wasn't that stern on me. I said, "You're nuts." I said, "Had you been like that, who knows? We know where I'm at now with the way that everything went and how fate has gone. What if that was a lot different? What if?" And I think it was worth. You mentioned females, like I remember almost feeling bad for some girls that became unleashed, uncorked because they had
Yeah,
never done anything like that. And unfortunately, the ramifications sexually for
yeah,
women is normally more catastrophic, whether you're talking pregnancies or STDs or something like that. I mean, definitely pregnancies. It's more effective on the woman, arguably, right? I mean, I don't even
yeah.
know if it's arguable. So um, I don't know that I was. See, I feel like if you're a good soul or not. Like you can tell if a little 8-year-old's blowing up squirrels. Okay, well, we better keep a close eye on this one. This guy could get out of control.
Yeah, or he's
But
making napalm in his basement like my buddy Russ.
you go, okay, gas bombs, dude. We got to watch this one with both eyes. But I
Yeah.
feel like you and I are on the other end of the spectrum, and I think our parents respected and kind of gave us space at the same time. Like my dad, if he finds out I'm watching Beavis and Butthead, he's gonna be mad. But he ain't walking in the room every 15 minutes to check on me too. He makes his rule. He tells me, and he believes in me to uphold it. And I don't know. I kind of like that parenting. It definitely rubbed off on me. I made my mistakes. It cost my dad thousands of dollars with some of my mistakes. I know it. My family maybe respect or that. I mean, but I haven't had mistakes that are that catastrophic or ramifications where I can look at it and say, well, I'm the scapegoat or the black sheep or I didn't bring the family down or anything.
Right,
So
right, right.
there's always different levels of that. But outside of monetary stress, I think I did pretty good. I could have
All right,
went one
well,
way or the other.
we said that I left Western to start up a band, and boy, did we ever. So we started this band, and we were playing gigs around the Detroit area, but sometimes we get called up because my one friend was the president of SAE. So this weekend we did a double booking. We booked a show at Western in Kalamazoo the first night. Went and played. It was at this place called Papa Pete's. It was an okay show, it wasn't anything special. But we knew Saturday was going to be the big blowout because when frat parties happen, they know that people are coming. That's just the nature of the beast. So we we had two dudes with us, a couple roadies that were friends. They took acid. So now our roadies are on drugs, but it was actually we didn't even need the roadies. When we got there, you feel like a king because all the pledges, like my one friend, like I said, was the president. So we pull up to the show. He goes, "All right, what do you need done? Because these idiots are going to do it for you." I go, "What do you mean, these idiots?" He goes, "These are the pledges. Just tell them whatever the fuck you want, and you don't have to be nice." Of course, we were pretty nice to him because I don't support all the frat stuff. Again, I'm not against it or anything, but that life was never for me. I didn't need to like get into something to have friends or whatever. Again, I don't know all the ins and outs of the frat, but it was good when you were a visitor and you were getting hooked up. You know what I'm saying? So I was telling these guys, I'm like, "All right, see that organ? You drag that shit in," and so they pretty much the whole show was set up for us before we even went in. We just had to do some minor tweaks to our amps and shit like that. But so we walk in after we got a nice surprise from the pledges. I was like, "All right, this must be what it's like to be a fucking professional band, right?" You walk in, and then the president comes in, and, "What do you guys need to drink?" We're like, "I don't know, we're drinking beers, right?" They're like, "Yeah, yeah." So this fucking guy wheels down our own keg. He goes, "This is from last night. We barely put a dent in it." So now we have our own keg, and the party's gonna probably start in, probably 3 hours from now. So we're down there, we're drinking. Like I said, a couple of the roadies they're hallucinating and shit. We're getting loose, and we were in the basement of the SAE house. I hope by me saying this we don't get chastised because there's some weird connections to some of these things that they might run deeper than school. But there was a back room, the ritual room, and of course my cousin Nick, being the curious man that he is, he had to take a peek inside this thing. So it was like chained shut. So we're like trying to peek in. We're trying to like crack it open to see what kind of weird rituals go down in there. And then one of the kids that was a member like saw us doing this, and this fucking kid lost his mind. You would have thought that we were breaking shit. This kid, "You can't go in there." He fucking lost it. So again, I don't know if they're paddling ass. I don't know what they're really doing in there. I've heard some stories of some hazing, which I don't know if that still goes down today because there's been a lot of you know, there's been some police involvement with some of this shit. Have you
That was
heard
the
of any?
beginning, though. The hazing was
Right.
still going on then pretty extensively. It wasn't the 80s, but it wasn't 2020 where it's you know,
Yeah.
totally I mean, I don't know
Spit
what it
down
is
upon.
nowadays, but yeah, it's probably real strict, but
Yeah,
it
I saw
definitely
like
wasn't
people
that.
you gotta drink like bong water or like a fucking platoon of some spit and all that shit. And you gotta stay up for days on end. I mean, it was too much. Again, once you're in, like my buddy was the president, and when you're at the president level, this guy had. I went into his room. It was like multiple rooms combined. He was living like a fucking king. These are probably some of the best years of his life, dude.
There's not many things compared to like fraternities or something where like you put it on your resume. If I read it as a manager, I go, okay, this dude's a partier, and
Yeah,
but it's supposed to be this added, you know, clout,
camaraderie.
respect. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess it shows you can take orders in the beginning, you can give orders by the end. I guess it's showing all this, but unfortunately, my mind goes to negative connotations because of the stories like you're telling, like that they were just these party festival, uh, pecking order
Yeah.
houses where it's like from an outsider, you're good, you're gold if you know someone inside and you're close, and if you're on the bottom of the pecking order in the beginning, dude, you're just getting shat on every day. I don't know.
Yeah, well, because we knew him, we were at the top of the list. And another thing that was cool for being in a band, they have like a pool of money for entertainment. So they paid us pretty fucking well. I think we got, I think we might have got like $800 or something. So the money was very delicious. We had our own keg. We're not paying for brew. And then the doors opened. And this shit, again, I'm not too familiar with fraternity parties. I played one at Western, I played one at Michigan State, and I've been to a couple. But this was by far the most out of control party I've ever seen. And it's just a different world at college. You got girls as far as the eye can see. There's a lot of meatheads and stuff, but when you're in a band, it kind of puts you up to another pedestal, if you will. Plus, I knew the president, so I had access to all the back rooms, all the best rooms. Have you been to any frat parties at either
Yeah,
school?
oh yeah. I've been to frat parties at Western and Wayne State, funny enough, because in Detroit they also had certain frats that I was friends with, friend of a friend, or friend with someone that's at the school and that. So during those days and age, I was actually going to some that were local frat parties also near Woodward and stuff. So whole nother level down there, dude. They're
Oh
tricking
my
bums
God.
with dollars and cans and shit. We're up on the balcony. I remember smoking a joint, and all of a sudden I see this dude cast out a can he's got a fishing pole set up on the balcony with a can on the line, and he literally throws it out into Woodward, and he's just slowly dingling this thing down. I didn't even ask him when it first happened. Literally, he's just smoking this joint, and I go, "What are you doing?" And he goes, "Look, dude, we got one." And I go, "What?" He goes, "I'm fishing for
Bum
bums."
hunting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
And
that
and
brings me to
sure
a good.
enough, bum
Go ahead.
grabbed it. Bum grabbed it. He starts reeling. He goes, "Man, fuck y'all, man." He goes, "Dude, come in the house, bro." He goes, "If you grab the can, you get yourself a beer." And literally had the bum in and gave him a beer and shit. The guy chilled for the rest of the night, smoking bud and shit with us. But so I guess it wasn't like totally demeaning. It was actually like it was their initiation into the party.
Right, right. Well, back to what we were talking about, SAE at Michigan State. So I like that you brought the bum thing up because we were on the front porch. This is before everything the music started, and a bum came by, and we had like pitchers of beer. We'd fill them up from the keg and stuff. And this bum walked by. He's like, "Can I get some cans?" There's tons of cans everywhere, and we told him if you chug this this flask of brew, we'll give you every can we had. This fucking guy puts this brew down, dude. He chugs the whole thing. He chugs the whole thing and then immediately vomits everywhere. And we're going nuts. Yeah! And we gave him all the cans. So that bum earned it. So that's pre music. Now we go in the basement. My one for the keyboard player in my band, I don't even know what he did. He like hit some button by mistake and it started up this like church organ music. So this might have been my intro to comedy. So I got on the mic. I go, "Come on now, brothers and sisters." I started getting into this whole rant about I don't even know what I was saying, but it was like like the beginning of a church service. It's like light piano. It's this particular fucking sound. But I was
Everybody
like, "Get
quiet
on
down
up
now.
now." Yeah, I was like, "Come on downstairs." So I was getting people downstairs, and then the band played. Unfortunately, the music was probably the least entertaining part of the night. We played our first set, which was cool. And then halfway through the intermission, I'm in some back room. Again, these facilities are so big. It's actually kind of cool. I would like to go through the whole thing one day sober and just check out each room. There's all these little nooks and crannies in the basement. There's these smoking rooms they have set up. It's crazy. So I'm in a smoking room puffing and stuff, and they're playing hip hop over the radio. And our uh, our drummer Aaron at the time, you know him, good dude, sick fucking drummer. He actually starts playing to the rap beat, and he's fucking going to the song, and he's playing to it, and it's pretty badass. And we actually the whole band now goes to the stage, and we started playing to the rap song because usually rap songs are just in one key or something. I think maybe an E minor, and I'm jamming along, and we slowly turn the rap off, and the band comes up, and it was a perfect segue from the rap song to the band. But there's only one problem. There was a guy that was trying to rap the whole time. This guy wouldn't put the mic down. He's like freestyling, but he's horrible. He's no Big Jimmy. He's like,
I was about to say, I
he's
didn't
a
remember
fuck.
being at this party.
No, I wished you were. It would have been incredible. So now we have one of these drunken idiots on the mic. This has happened at some shows before. You're always gonna have some drunk guy like hitting the drums. I remember we used to play Fishbones in St. Clair Shores because where you would play was so small. Anyone that would walk by would be hitting the fucking drums and stuff. Anyone drunk thinks that they're in the band now. So of course, because I'm the band leader, it's my job to get this guy off the mic, and I wasn't being very nice about it, and this guy flipped out. It almost started a full brawl, but again, being in the frat, like these guys started trouble. I go, hey Tom, we got a little issue here. This guy swarms in with his whole fucking cronies, and they just take care of the issue instantly, dude. I felt like a god among men this night. It was unbelievable. I got servants, I got bodyguards and shit. I can run my mouth freely. Not that I was willingly doing that, but we were having ourselves a good time. Anyways, night keeps going. We play our second set. Great set. We might have played 3 sets actually, but the party's raging on. Even when we were done playing, the party was probably halfway done. You know what I'm saying? So I'm dancing with this girl, Lauren. We're having a good time, dancing around. I knew her from high school and stuff, but I haven't seen her till now, and she's going to Michigan State. So we're having a good time. We're getting to know each other. And then later in the night, she goes, "Hey, what's my name?" I go, "It's Lauren, of course." "No, it's Megan." So she flips out on me. I had it, and then I lost it. And then, of course, all the band members are watching me, and I never lived that down from from that day on. I can't remember what they used to call me, fucking like Mo the fucking loser or something, or I don't know what, because I would always just I'd always have it and then I would lose it. Again, I was only 22 at the time, if that, but yeah, man, I knew it was something like Megan or Lauren or one of those names, but I should have fucking knew, man.
Been there. Do that all the time, actually, with customers and stuff. Ray, get over here. And the guy, who the hell are you talking to, James? What?
So I chalked up my yeah. Name's Phil, bro, not Bill. So I'm down on my luck. I'm having a couple more pops. My cousin Mia's there because she went there. So she's there with a bunch of her friends. She actually liked my friend Chris at the time, so she was kind of preoccupied with him. And I link up with a couple of the guys from the fraternity. I kind of told them what happened, and they're like, "Dude, don't even worry about that. Let's go upstairs." So we go upstairs, and these guys go, "This is our technique." They pop out this window from the 3rd floor, and they're just watching. Because if you saw where SAE is, it's on the main street. I don't know what the name of the road is, but it's on the main drag, and there's like it's all kids just walking by. And that's why the parties probably get so out of control, because like anyone that walks by, if they're girls or if they're cool enough to be let in, they get let in. So these guys go, "Watch this trick." So they're standing at the 3rd floor looking out the window, and they're watching for girls that are like stumbling around. And then if they see them, they yell, "Hey, hey!" And then these guys literally brought women in from the street that were stumbling and bumbling. Again, I didn't partake in this thing. I just felt too bad about myself. That's the other thing. It's like what you were saying about being a good guy. Like I couldn't do that. That's just too low ball. You know what I'm saying?
It's not. We weren't ahead of our class. I feel at times like I was more like I wish I was more promiscuous in that sense. But like I literally to this day, if I don't have emotional involvement with you, I'm really turned off. I'm really not that kind of guy. I guess I'm prude like that. I'm not a one night stand kind of guy.
No, I told you I've never had a one night stand. Have you? I think you said no.
Yeah. No, I have, but I'm not like I don't. In fact, I lost my virginity on a trip to Ann Arbor, not the school, but a house. 16, don't remember her name though, and it was a one night stand. Told her I owned a Ferrari. I walked into the local neighboring liquor store when we first got there, and my gift to gab, kind of like the Hilton Head story, my trick in walking to these little convenience stores in podunk areas was always to start shooting the shit with the guy at the counter long before ever talking beer or anything. What's the weather out? How the fish biting up here? I'm up here for the weekend,
dude. Confused, man.
Exactly. Get his mind elsewhere where he thinks cool, where it's like, oh shit, this is my buddy now. There's no way I can card my buddy. Why would I disrespect my buddy? Right. So again, I don't remember her name. So yeah, I've had them.
Yeah, I've had one, and it was when I was in college. Same type of deal. But what are you gonna do? You're there. You're having fun. But this put me over the edge. I always looked at the frat houses. Again, my friends I thought were pretty cool and good guys and stuff, but there's always just been this like grimy, slimy nature to this whole enterprise. And after I saw these guys doing this shit, man, it took it to the whole new term. I go, wow, fraternities are just again, these guys don't represent all fraternities. I'm sure there's good fraternities out there, ladies and gentlemen. Don't leave comments on the Reddit page telling me how all fraternities are bad. I get it. But these guys were scum buckets. Anyways, we're wrapping the story up. It's getting late night now. I'm alone, and I last thing I remember seeing was this one dude was just passed out on a bench, and these people just annihilated him with a marker, the old classic marker move, cocks on the cheek, all over his body, and God, man, college kids, their brain isn't developed. When you're back in those days, you feel so much like an adult. You're like, I'm an adult. I'm going to school. I'm living on my own. I'm working on my future. You're a fucking kid still. I don't give a shit what anyone says. I don't think you're fully adult until you're 25, 24, 25-ish.
It's funny you mentioned that kind of hazing where they pass out, and God bless, I don't think I ever got markered. I'm pretty sure, but that's funny because the night that I talked about at Western, when I talked to your cousin Rob earlier tonight and was refreshing my memory on that night, he goes, yeah, remember? So Chris fell down that hole. Then I get back. He goes, remember how we buttered his lips and drew all over him? I go, oh shit, forgot about that.
Buttered.
So literally, I got butter out of the fridge and just started buttering his lip. Like I put butter all over his lips, and it's when you're at body temp, dude, that starts melting this butter, dude. This shit starts just creeping down like 5 a.m., dude. This shit's just slipping down. Put like vegetables in his mouth, like hanging out and shit, and he would constantly be like, so he's wiping this shit all over, like half asleep. Bowser was there, right? Or was that when he got back?
I think he had Bowser when he went to Western the second time, I think.
Bowser was too small to be making out with him, though. I don't think he was climbing up on there. I don't think there was dog interaction, but
yeah, I think Bowser was more around the time when I went to Western because Rob went back to Western.
I got a real short story to take me from Kalamazoo to Lansing, if you want that.
Sure.
It's in line because you went from Kalamazoo to Lansing. And shout out, I wouldn't do him justice for talking frat parties while you were talking. One popped in my mind. I'm not going to tell any stories, but I do remember going to Dayton, Ohio to see my buddy Nick when he was he was in a frat there. This house was like 100 years old. That's what I was going to say. These houses are like, most of them are so old, but this thing was so dilapidated. There's like 18 bedrooms or some shit in this thing. So it's massive, right? You said you'd like to go look around. I would do that. I would like to do that too. Older now, knowing more about architecture, but I just remember the house was blown out. But I'm in East Lansing. My buddy Bill was going into, I was with a big group of friends that went to MSU. And my buddy Bill was into pharmaceutical stuff at this time. And he brings out these Xanny bars. Party's just getting started. I drove the same Lincoln Continental to this party. And he hands out these Xanny bars, the whole 4 chunks.
Oh, yeah. That's called the nightcapper.
Well, I didn't know that this little pharmaceutical dude turned it into 16 of the normal pills. So he took the equivalent, or this is what he claimed. He took what one Xanny bar would be and made each little section 4 pills, basically. 1 Xanny bar each, equivalent in milligrammage of Xanax. So he hands these things out. I literally kaplunk mine instantly. Haven't had one beer yet. We just got to the party. And then he goes and he holds them up and he goes, all right, everyone hold theirs up and break off 1 bar. He goes, Marchetti, where's your bar? And I go, dude, what are you talking about? I just swallowed that thing. He goes, shut the fuck up. I go, what? He goes, that's 16 Xanax. I go, what, bro? He goes, you're just supposed to take the 1 little nib and then pass it on. He goes, holy shit, bro. So I'm thinking I'm veteran style, like we're talking. I've already been through the ringer. I have 2 beers. All right. That is basically the rest I remember, other than I wake up at 5 a.m. in the Continental. The heat's on 90. It had a digital readout. You could see the actual temp. Heat's on 90, cranking, cars running. And at my window, here's how I wake up.
Jimmy,
What?
the hell are you doing in here, son?
Officer banging on my window with the end of his his end of his mag light. I roll the window down. Officer, good morning. You got to be one of the luckiest idiots I've ever met. He goes, what time did you walk out to your car? I go, I'll be dead honest right now. Keep in mind, I have a packed bowl sitting in the center console. I'm waking up to this. I have no idea where I've been, what I've done. I'm coming out of this state. And I see the packed bowl. I see the lighter. I'm like freaking out. I'm like, I have no idea what time I came to my car. I'll be dead honest. And he goes, 1 a.m. You know what time it is? I go, and I look over. I go, it's 6:06. He goes, it's 6:06 in the morning. He goes, God, I thought I had a free DUI when I saw your dumbass rolling down the hill here trying to walk to your car, and you fell on your face 4 times and then got in your car. And he goes, I saw you start your car. He goes, I was a block behind. He goes, I thought I see you start your car. He goes, here we go, free DUI. He goes, then I drove around the block, and it's been 5 hours. And you just fell asleep and sat here with your car running, so I can't even give you a DUI, and my shift's ending. And I'm like,
your life.
Okay. I go, I guess I'm really lucky. He goes, you're damn right. Be safe, would you? Takes off. I walk back in the party, dude. There's nobody left. Okay.
I was in the right place. It
was
must have been the wrong time.
6:30 in the morning. I'm stepping on cans and shit. I wake up my buddy Chris. I go, what the fuck happened? He goes, bro, dude, you passed out on the couch like 20 minutes after taking this, or not 20 minutes, like 2 hours. Apparently I had 2 beers. I was on top of the table being like, yeah!
He was one of those guys, folks.
Yelling in the living room, going ape shit. Then just passed out on the couch. He goes, dude, girls were like sitting on you, like moving you. You were getting moved all over. People were getting pissed. You're laying over the whole couch. He goes, then you just stumbled out of the house. That's the last we saw you. I go, bro, apparently I fucking fell down the hill, got in my car, and fucking just sat there and passed out. So that pieces all together. It was a quick story, but this thing was a wild Zanny bar night, dude, where I just stumbled into too many.
Yeah, I've never taken Xanax before. I've taken 1 Klonopin in my entire life. I don't know if it's similar or not. I know they're in the same. That? It's like a Valley. It's a anti-anxiety pill.
I'd say it's like a broke man's MDMA. You know, like you're happy, you feel like you're on a bunch of coke, but that like you're not coming down, and it's not. But to be honest, I've only taken it 3 times. And one time I puked when I didn't have enough water, and I didn't even drink beer on it. I just took that. I puked. Hated that time. I felt I had the spins and shit. I had the time at Lansing where I passed out in a car for 5 hours with the heat on full blast on a summer night. And
that's what people say. They take them, and then if they drink, you don't remember anything. It's like a forget-me-not pill. If you remember Arrested Development, the forget-me-nots.
Yeah.
The guy gets in the cycle of the forget-me-nots, man. He's like, I can't sell you anymore. So I gotta chalk something up here. I made a mistake at the fraternity. I was looking up some of the locations. SAE was one of my friends' houses, but we played Sigma Chi. Here's the fucking establishment. SAE was a little more subdued. They had some good gatherings, but this was right on the main drag. Sigma Chi. This place was out of control.
I do remember Aaron warming up that way. In fact, he really liked doing that. I've heard Aaron do that at his own house to rap songs. He had a special knack for that. He was good at drums, and he liked doing that. I remember I asked him one time, I go, why do you warm up to Trey or something? That's weird to me. But he was talking about how it's actually harder than like normal because of the timing and everything. It's harder.
It's all beat related, the rap, you know.
That it's real good to warm up to. And so, yeah, you mentioned that in your story. I used to like listen. I remember I sat in his basement on times and just listened to him do that. It was kind of cool.
Oh, he was by far, like him and our singer, Terrell, they were the best part of the band. Again, I should have probably been playing rhythm guitar. You know, like, I don't know. Again, I'm not going to rip on anybody. We all were okay, but I was the lead guitar player. I shouldn't have been there. We probably should have had Emerson or something. But it is what it is. We actually, I forgot though, Chris actually was was there, and he jammed with us for a while, so that was a good time. But I think our whole crew was there. Rogers, Rob, all the old cats. But yeah, that was. I wish we would have recorded it, but you listen back, it probably sounds like poo poo. But yeah, when we took that rap song, jammed with the actual rap song, and then slowly turned it down, and we slowly rose back up. That might have been our one of our pinnacles in our band. But my God, that party, that'll go down in my brains. I'm gonna save another one. We played a Western show, a Western. I think we actually played SAE at Western, and that's why I kept wanting to say that. But we played another frat party at Western, and it was pretty damn fun too. It's just a different atmosphere. The first time I ever went to Michigan State, I remember I was walking down the road, and we were coming back from a party, and these fucking turds just started throwing full beers at us for no reason whatsoever. And I was like, oh, I hate Michigan State. That was the first encounter I had with that kind of lifestyle. I feel like, again, I'm not trying to generalize, but because it's such a big school, there's so many more meatheads and just aggressive cats ready to attack. My favorite school to party at was actually Michigan University, U of M.
Yeah, I had a couple good ones from there. I remember I went and met a friend from South that she was friends with some of the football players, and we went to a party, and then we ended up going bowling, and these guys were aggressive as fuck. They were just so competitive. Like, I
Yeah,
remember
oh
I was
yeah.
winning at one point because I was good at bowling at this point. I'd bowled a lot, right? And funny enough, that night I also fell on my jeans that were too long on the bowling oil twice in a row. So, like, it added to their anger. They were mad that the dude that fell twice was beating them, dude. This massive motherfucking offensive lineman comes up to me and he's like, either you're on my team next game or we got a problem. I'm like, let's do it, dude. I remember him and
Yeah.
I won, and like this dude's like breaking tables, Big Show style, dude. These guys are fucking
Rawr,
take
rawr.
competitivism. I mean, like, it makes me feel like they're on drugs, like steroids or something, dude. The competitiveness, I can't even explain. I got a buddy nowadays that I play tennis with and shit. Shout out David G. He always watches our show and shit. So shout out to him.
Yeah, yeah.
This dude was collegiate material and shit. This guy's competitive as a motherfucker out there, dude. He'll kick you when he's down if it means getting a win. So
A
like,
little
but
face stomping.
when you beat that kind of person, dude, it's so gratifying. I beat him in tennis like twice out of 20 times. And he never even plays tennis. I had to teach him the fucking sport and how you fucking score and shit. But he's so competitive and athletic that it's like you just give him the racket and watch him go. So then I got a competition. But the two times I beat him, it's so gratifying. Oh, I beat him in 21 too. Shout out to that motherfucker.
Well, leave a comment, David. We know you're listening, and set Jimmy straight.
That was
But yeah,
great
this
at
is.
Genesis, a little 21, dude. I'm a short man. If I take you down in basketball, I'm a little bit taller than him, though. Shout out to 5'4".
Oh wow, that's a. But yeah, we're gonna be doing these Friday night frights. We're gonna keep trying to do these Saturday night college parties. We got our high school parties, we got our ghost stories, and now we got our college parties. But the college ones, man, I don't know. I really got to pick my brain. I know they're out there, but I really got to soul search. I might have been spending 10 years drinking to mask these memories.
Yeah, agreed. But while you were talking there, I remember a great one for next week. No spoiler alerts, but tune in next week, folks, because I got a whopper from Kalamazoo that involved
Uh,
potatoes, frat dudes, big ass
yeah,
mules from South. So
a
uh,
donkey.
I'm a shit talker, folks, but I'm not a backer upper. So hopefully, like most of my life, I teamed up with the right crew and was able to protect myself because God knows I don't like getting physical myself.
Well, we appreciate you coming in. I know you're on location. That party looks like it's getting kind of out of control. I'm sure that fucking water is very, very clean.
It's a hell of a time out here, and we're all we're, we're all
Looks like a cesspool back there.
we're all doing our best to social distance, and I appreciate the crowd keeping it down. They knew I was on a big podcast tonight, a new comedy cast coming out, and I appreciate them keeping it down back there. It's
Yeah.
quite the little antics. I would also like to say, I think this is 25, baby. We labeled the last one 26, but I see 24 and then 26. We could treat Comedy Cast 25 like floor 13 in a hotel where it just don't
Yeah.
exist.
Uh-huh.
It's bad luck. It's ghost shit.
Yeah.
Or we could make this 25 and post
No, you're
it.
right. This is 25. My bad. They've been flying by. I've been trying to keep track of all this mayhem.
I also have a retraction from yesterday's show. At one point, I went off my desk here. And it was when Elsie started to tell her point. And you might remember I interrupted. I go, something just fell. Oh my God, what was that? When I turned around after the show, there's a beer sitting in the doorway.
Hold on a second. You're
Here.
starting to break up, man.
And
I'm telling you, there's some kind of
here?
entity that doesn't want you to fucking tell the story, bro. You started breaking up as soon as you went into that whole little antidote.
Well, yesterday the retraction is that something didn't fall off my desk, and my girlfriend had put a beer by the door, and something had fallen. And when Elsie was starting her story yesterday, so I was telling the people that it wasn't a ghost; it was just my girlfriend, and sometimes they get mistaken.
Yeah. She's not that pale. And on that note, folks, you want to play us out with some fighting music?
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm back here. The crowd's gonna fire up the band. All right, baby.
Well, fight's about to break out. You better get back there.